Hello guys, FIREMASTER back with another battle coming right at ya. This team, well, my strategy, I didn't really get to use my strategy the way I wanted. This team is usually like a set up hazards and then force switches with, wide variety. Anyways, I didn't really get what I wanted to happen, but you'll see that happen. Great battle. At the end, it came down to the very end. Battle against Immortal from the Wi-Fi Battle Finder. Immortal was a great battler, He made a couple, questionable decisions, but I got some lucky hacks a little bit at the end, but, you'll see that, so let's go. I lead with my Ferrothorn, because I want to try and set up my rocks and my spikes, but he leads with Ninetales, and so I'm like, okay, he's going to Flamethrower, so I'm going to switch into my Flash Fire Fido, aka Arcanine, expecting a Flamethrower, but he subs. So I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, obviously now I realize he's a subset. That comes back to bite me in the butt later, though. So I go for Wild Charge so that I can, just try and break his sub. And he switches to Espeon. I don't quite know why, but that does a decent chunk. So I think it might be able to kill him after lefties, but I'm just to be safe gonna go for the Flare Blitz, and it pays off because he uses Morning Sun. And I know Fire Boosted, Addy, Flare Blitz will be able to take him out. So at this point, I'm now up, and his Magic Bounce Espeon is gone, so I can set up my rocks and spikes to my pleasure. The recoil really does hurt. So he sends in Hitmontop, so I don't quite know what to think. I know he's going to fake out. He'll probably have Mach Punch, but I'm pretty sure I just keep him in right here. No, I switch out. Okay, I go into, yes, good old Gua here, King of the Eagles. Skarmory is a great poke, great for this team. You don't really get to see him do what he does best here, but hey. So he switches into Dragonite, and at this point I just set up spikes, and I'm kind of wondering what Dragonite's going to do. So I switch in, I go into Fido, expecting the Fire Punch, and instead he Dragon Dances. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this Dragonite will just become a threat instantly. But what I tried to get an extreme speed, hoping to get a little bit of damage off, totally forgetting Dragonite can learn E-Speed too. So Dragonite obviously outspeeds me, so I go into my Lapras. He withdraws Dragonite, and, he switches into Hitmontop. I get a decent chunk on Hitmontop. Obviously, Ice Beam isn't going to do that much to Hitmontop, as much as I would have, could have hoped. So I switch out and then send Gua here back in, expecting the Rapid Spin, and I know I'll be able to take it well. Plus, that way I can set up more spikes, because he would just be hurting himself with Life Orb if he keeps using Rapid Spin, and he goes for Mach Punch. I set up another layer of spikes, and I know that next turn he'll die from using Mach Punch, or if he uses Rapid Spin, so I stay in, go for another spikes, because I know I will be able to survive. Spikes comes up clutch, as you'll see later, but I would have preferred if I would have had a row of Stealth Rocks up from my Ferrothorn, but I can't. Venusaur, I assume he has HP Fire, but I'm not quite sure, so I stay in. He goes for it, and it turns out to be HP Fire. So that stinks, because now I can't go into my Ferrothorn, can't set up more rocks. So what I do is, I go into my Dragonite, try and force him to switch, which does work. He sends in his he sends in his Ninetales, and here, this is kind of cool. I go for the Dragon Tail, because it pops his balloon, so he'll be hurt by entry hazards. Pops his balloon, switches him out. It brings in a Dragonite though, which stinks, because now I have to switch. And I was hoping I could maybe Dragon Tail, get some entry hazard damage racking up. That's kind of what this team would be good for. So I switch in, knowing I'll be able to take the Outrage, totally forgetting that my Ferrothorn has a red card. So he gets hurt from the Iron Barb damage, gets hurt of his multi-scale, but the red card is great most of the time, but in this one case, it bites me in the butt. So then it switches in his Ninetales, who's obviously very good, but I stay in because he subbed last time, so I figured, he'll probably try and substitute again, thinking I'll switch, but he went for the Flamethrower. That was a good play by him. He just knew what was going to happen. So he goes for Hidden Power, probably fighting, I would assume. It's super effective, it doesn't do that much. My Lapras is pretty bulky, so I get the Brine off, and so now my Lapras can do a pretty good job against whoever he sends out. His Venusaur obviously has super effective Giga Drain, which kind of stinks, but I'm figuring you know, I can get some good damage off with Ice Beam, and Ice Beam was a good choice. So he gets a ton of damage. Obviously, he's going to be back at full health. He's going to get notched down a little bit because of Life Orb, and then Ice Beam, get a crit. This crit is crucial for the rest of the game, and I feel kind of bad because in my last video I got a crit that was pretty big, and in this battle I got a crit that was pretty big. So, I mean, but hey, hacks are hacks, that's part of the game, you know, you just gotta know it. He goes for Outrage, locks himself in, and then so I've got, at this point I've got a Jolteon and my Dragonite left, so I go into my Dragonite, and he thinks it's gonna be a speed tie, but I know for a fact it's not gonna be a speed tie, so I go for the Outrage, and I take him out one shot, and he was kind of mad in chat, but, you know, Immortal, if you're out there, you know, it wasn't a speed tie, so don't worry, you didn't just lose because of a speed tie. And so he goes for the Dragon Pulse here, and he gets a crit, and it scares me, because I thought I was going to die. But I barely survive, even though it was a crit. I get the Outrage, that'll dwindle Charizard down most of the way. I'm pretty sure he dies from, no, he dies from Solar Power next turn. Actually goes for another Dragon Pulse, takes me out. So I win 1-0, didn't even have to use my Jolteon, but, you know, this wasn't really the way I wanted to use my team, but because it was a Sun team, it was kind of the way I had to. So, you know, it was a good battle, Immortal, we'd love to battle you again. You know, guys, rate, comment, subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your family, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, all social networking stuff, you know, we love it here. So, peace out.